things at Madison Square Garden for all of us Knicks fans. There's a whole bunch of stuff to go on and to talk about. But I'm in L.A., his town, Keyshawn Johnson's town. Usually he's sitting up there with the scowl on his face like he's going to intimidate somebody. But you notice he's smiling now because he and Lala, right?
Well, it is raining, though. So.
He's right. They said it never rained in Southern California. I guess they lied about something. First takes in the house. Let's go.
Playing these games, you play in this division, you find out who's real, who's not real quick.
It's about how you finish, and this story isn't.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Take on a Tuesday. Keyshawn Johnson, how we feeling? How we living?
Good, I'm straight. The sun will come out in a couple days, don't worry.
All right. You all right, though?
I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
You should be good. You sit across
He
from me,
put a real shirt on.
You sit
That's
across
a
from me, my
positive.
I
brother.
got to get my hair cut, though, after the show. You know, I can't be walking around with a fro.
No, I feel you on that. At least, you have a fro.
I like it's vest day. We're very cute with our vests.
Right.
Trying to stay in the winter season. All right, fellas, let's do this. We had a game last night. The Rams defeating the Cardinals 30-23 on Monday night. Cardinals, rather. Yeah,
Yes.
Excuse me.
No, they're not, Molly.
What?
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. They're not. No, they're not. I said it here. They're not legit threats to win the NFC conference. Obviously, the division is a separate thing. So if you think a division, Stephen A.,
No, I'm thinking
that's
conference.
one thing.
I'm thinking
no,
conference.
No, because the Green Bay Packers is
never
right now.
high on them.
They done dropped down to the third, right? They had 3. They were at 1 riding high. And you're right, Molly. I was never really, I never felt like that.
You called him Mighty Mouse, and I found it very disrespectful.
Will you
So
stop?
you were never really into the quarterback anyway.
No,
I'll get 'em.
and here's
Sorry.
why. You look at them. They're 3-3 at home, 7-0 on the road, 11 turnovers at home, 2 on the road. When they got to go on the road, yeah, that's fine. When you get to the playoffs, that's a different story. You got to go to Green Bay and play against the Green Bay Packers, a warm weather team out of a dome, traveling to some cold. Okay, that's one against Aaron Rodgers and that crew. Then if you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be getting some of the defensive players back along with Green Bay, getting some of theirs back, Stephen A. Now you're going up against Tom Brady. You're going up against Tom Brady, Ndamukong Suh. Do I need to name the whole defense?
You don't.
Okay, I know I don't. Then you talk about them, then one of your favorite teams. They played them at the end of the year, second game to the last, the Dallas Cowboys, one of your favorite teams. If Dak Prescott get his act together, unlike the last 2 games of the season, you got something there where now all of a sudden they may have to play the Dallas Cowboys at some point in time. So I'm looking at 3 teams above them that I think the Dallas Cowboys, and then if you want to add the Rams in there who got their act together based on the defense, the way that they played on the perimeter and keeping him in the pocket, caused 2 interceptions yesterday, 1 inside the red zone, another as they was driving down the field.
Right.
You keep him inside the pocket with the defensive ends and Von Miller and Floyd, pushing the pocket with Aaron Donald up the middle, with Jalen Ramsey out of the game. Once he comes back, you negate that over there with DeAndre Hopkins. That's an even meet. You take that over there. Now what? They've got to run the ball consistently in a quarterback that have lost in the playoffs a couple times, and now they're going on the road. You know, you can talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Andy Reid, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New England Patriots early on with Belichick and Tom Brady and those guys, or Mike Tomlin and them. Whatever teams you want to. Seattle, before you get there. This is a totally new situation for them. I don't think that they have what it will take to go on the road and finish the deal.
Okay. I think this is one of the most ridiculous takes
Okay,
that you've ever uttered out of your mouth. This is just ridiculous. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be, I'm going to tell you how. First of all, let's understand this here. Last time I checked, Keyshawn Johnson talked about any given Sunday. Anybody can lose on a given Sunday.
That is correct.
You certainly made, hold on.
That is correct.
You made excuses for the Cowboys from time to time
I'm
this year.
not making no excuses.
I'm talking now. You made excuses for the Cowboys on occasion. You ain't talking about Derek Carr, no MVP no more, right? We ain't going to bring that up.
That's a different conference.
I'm just saying. No, I'm just talking about the sport of football. Stuff happens. This is a team that has spent the vast majority of this season with the best record in the entire NFL. They show up last night against Aaron Donald and the crew, albeit without Higbee, albeit without Jalen Ramsey. They still showed up against a relatively decent Rams squad, and you're going to trip because they lost 1 game. Tyler Murray threw 2 interceptions. We won't even bring, as a matter of fact, I will bring this up. I don't like that. That's what you said. there was a whole bunch of NFL aficionados, obviously people that are just as, or maybe a tad bit less brilliant than yourself when it comes to the sport of football, who respectfully disagreed with you. But that's neither here nor there.
okay.
That's neither here
They
nor there.
gonna do that anyway.
Because I didn't play, you played. But here's the deal. They are 10-3.
Okay.
Here's the deal. DeAndre Hopkins, how many drops do you see him make in the red zone? That's a very, very foreign thing. That's not something he does. A.J. Green has been resurrected. You saw him balling last night. He's doing a good job this year. Christian Kirk can play, okay? And the pickup of Zach Ertz definitely elevates their level of weapons offensively. And so now it comes down to two things. Their running game, which I don't have that much faith in. It's okay. But listen, James Conner belongs in the NFL. He's a good athlete or whatever, but it doesn't knock my socks off, okay? But he's respectable. You look at Kyler Murray, I understand he's miniature, but the brother can move. He got wheels. He can throw the football.
Yes, he can.
He can make all the requisite throws. Last night, stuff like that happens, okay? So offensively, this is a top 5 offense. By the way, defensively, this is a top 5 defense. It's in points allowed. It's top 10 in both yards, yards made and yards allowed offensively and defensively. And then I'm looking at it from this perspective. You also brought up Green Bay, Lambeau Field, inclement weather, stuff like that.
Yes.
I totally with you with that.
Yes.
But Tampa's in the playoffs. We expect bad weather in Florida. I don't think so.
No, but it's a dude wearing 12
hold on.
that got 7 rings.
Hold on. We don't expect bad weather in Florida. We ain't expecting bad weather at SoFi out here in Southern California. You wait for the sunshine to come out just a couple of days. It's raining, it's cold right now, a little brisk for our liking with the rain coming down. We know that ain't expected to last. That's not something that we got to worry about at SoFi. And so listen, the only 2 teams that potentially would have home field advantage over this, hoping it can be open to. The only 2 teams that's expected to have home field advantage over them is Green Bay, that's a different animal, and Tampa Bay.
Okay.
All right. Even if it were Dallas, excuse me.
I get it.
But can I just say, at one point, you never believed in Arizona all along.
That's right,
anyway.
never believed.
How
could you not?
You weren't high on the Cardinals from the jump.
Stephen and Molly, here's what I'm going to say. One, I never really bought into their offense in the air raid system.
Thank you.
It's fine. Cliff Kingsbury did some homework in the offseason. They're running the ball more efficient now.
Okay.
The defense is playing more solid now.
Okay.
But when you talk about going on the road, they went on the road and I don't know, was it week 4 that they torched the Rams? Whatever that was. They dominated the Rams at the beginning of the season. The Rams went back and looked at it and said to themselves, if we keep this dude inside, don't let him outside the edges of the tackles, because the throwing lanes, if we give him his throwing lanes, the receivers will see the ball come out his hands. But if we don't, and we keep him nice and tight in between those.
11, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, a 9.9 QBR, the lowest of his career. Dak, how are you feeling about the team's recent play?
We've created these high expectations and high standards, and we have them for ourselves. So, I mean, just as much as the outside world isn't pleased, we're not. I guarantee we care a whole lot more than the outside world about what we're doing.
Okay, Keyshawn, are you more confident about the Cowboys after beating Washington, or was it a little too close for comfort?
Confident about what part?
Like that they're going to do something.
I
they're going to make a real run in the playoffs.
I am confident about that, and here's why, because I saw the defense. I saw Gregory show up and Lawrence show up and Michael Parsons. I mean, some people are starting to look at him as the best defensive player since Lawrence Taylor. Since Lawrence Taylor. Didn't say he was better than Lawrence, but since Lawrence Taylor. So when you look at that, the one thing that the Dallas Cowboys have got to do is they've got to clean up the offensive side of the ball with Dak Prescott over the last couple weeks. Once they clean that up, I think that it's for the taking. It's sitting pretty for them to play against whoever in the playoffs and get it done, because they're going to win the division. The defense is getting better. When you got them 3 dudes up front, as monsters, you go get them quarterbacks. You're going to be facing, whether it's a Matthew Stafford, whether it's a Kyler Murray, a Tom Brady, or an Aaron Rodgers. What negates them is pass rush. And when you have pass rush, you can win a lot of damn football games doing that, Molly. Michael Parsons is a young kid, and I say it on First Take, and I'll say it right now. He is somebody that can win a Super Bowl by himself on the defensive side of the ball by the way he plays. And you can ask any offensive lineman or ask anybody, he can certainly do that.
I got news for you. I don't disagree with that at all. Listen, the day Micah Parsons was drafted, I was depressed because I watched his brother pitch. I said, damn, they got him. he's special. He's special without question. He's clearly the defensive rookie of the year and might be the defensive player of the year. This brother is something to behold, and I totally agree with you. For a Super Bowl, for one game, one Sunday Super Bowl afternoon, this brother can wreak the kind of havoc.
Von Miller-like.
He can deliver you a Super Bowl. There's no question about that. But in regards to the question, more confident in the Cowboys after this win? Hell no. You know why? This win meant nothing to me. It was nothing more than a bye week. The Washington football team didn't even have the decency to embrace the talk that the Cowboys was giving them. Ron Rivera, we're not going to pay attention to that. You know, they're going and lecturing this team. Let's focus. Let's not think about them. Let's think about ourselves or whatever. Excuse me, it's football. A lot of it is predicated on emotion. Let your brothers get fired up. Don't let them get fired up stupidly like the Las Vegas Raiders did when they went to the midfield logo of the Kansas City Chiefs. And then before they had a chance to pass gas, they were down 35-0, you idiots. But the point is, in the Washington football team, you look at Taylor Heineke, he got exposed to being the average quarterback that he is. That's why Washington's going to probably draft a quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft. Their running game was non-existent with Gibson. He couldn't do anything. Your wide receivers, just McLaurin, that's really all you had. You wasn't worried about anybody else. And so I look at Washington as a team that's not on their level. Dallas did what they were supposed to do. I was hoping and praying Washington would upend them. I predicted it. I was wrong. But I know Washington is limited.
I want to hold on.
Y'all wrong a lot.
All right, I want to get back to you, though, because you focused on the defense and you just glossed over the offense. You said they'll get it right. And I read you the numbers. Dak had his worst QBR, 9.9. And we know Washington's not an elite team in the league. So how did they just get it together all of a sudden? And what do you attribute to these issues to?
Well, first of all, you go self-evaluate. So he's going back, he's going to evaluate ill-advised throws. The interception, him not seeing the defense or the linebacker pushing across with the tight end, that was just an ill-advised throw. For whatever reason. The other interception, the ball got away from him. When you look at the New Orleans Saints game, one interception, his hand was hit as he was delivering the football. So that got away from him. I'm not really worried. I think when they get Tony Pollard back healthy, Zeke stays healthy, they can run the football. Yes, they miss an offensive lineman here or two every now and then. But when you put this team together, they've probably got the second or third behind Tampa and maybe Cleveland as far as talent goes in the league. They probably got the third most talented team in the National Football League, to be honest with you. Behind Tampa Bay and the Cleveland Browns.
More than what about the Rams?
They got a little more talent than the Rams. They got a little more talent than the Rams.
Okay. Remember?
We'll leave it there.
We'll go with that.
All right. When we come back here on First Take, it's fluid. Steven's A-list. Of course, that's assists, including 2 triple-doubles. The Lakers 15 and 13 are number 6 in the West standings. Meanwhile, Steph Curry had 5 3-pointers in Monday's 102-100 win over the Pacers and now needs 2 more to pass Ray Allen's all-time 3-point record. Curry is also going to set the record in significantly fewer games than Allen needed. He has 38 career games with 9 3-pointers, more than the next 5 players on that list combined. Curry will likely make history tonight in the Mecca when the Warriors play the Knicks at MSG. Stephen A. has a strong take on Steph Curry.
Has Steph Curry overtaken LeBron James as the basketball icon of this generation? As great as LeBron James is, and the man is a legend, don't get it wrong, he's on basketball's Mount Rushmore for crying out loud. But if Steph Curry and the Warriors win the title this season, Steph will have as many rings as LeBron James. If he's changed the way basketball is played at every level with the rise of the long-range 3-point shooting, then maybe it's not LeBron's legacy we should be comparing to the GOAT. Maybe we should instead be discussing Steph Curry versus Michael Jordan.
Well. Let's just all pause and take a moment and marinate on what happened. Okay, I think I'm ready now. Keyshawn.
No, I want him to go.
Well, why?
Why?
I really what I said.
I really want you to give me some context to this.
In no way am I saying that LeBron James, Steph Curry, I'm sorry, has had a better career than LeBron James. And I'm certainly not saying he's a better all-around player than LeBron James. We know better. LeBron James went to 10 NBA Finals, won 4 league MVPs, won 4 titles, and what have you. And in his prime, LeBron James, when he amped it up, can really amp it up defensively, which is something Steph Curry could never do.
Okay.
What I think people are not paying enough attention to is the fact that we say that this dude is the greatest shooter who ever lived. We're not recognizing how he's transformed the game of basketball. We're not recognizing the fact that even though D'Antoni with Steve Nash and those boys really, really pushed it to another level when they just had you taking three-point shots or layups. They just completely eradicated the mid-range game, for crying out loud, for the most part in the NBA, because that's how you have people launching up threes more so than ever before. Steph Curry has no limit. He has no range. You can shoot it short. He can shoot it long. He can shoot it from 10, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 feet. Literally, the minute he steps past half court, you have to defend him. And so as a result, that brings your defense out. It opens the floor up more. And even though you've got guys like Jordan Poole and Toscano Anderson and Gary Payton II and Andrew Wiggins and others, the reality of the situation is because of the presence of Steph Curry, that's what really opens up the floor for them because of what you have to do with him defensively. And when I bring up names like Michael Jordan, along with LeBron James, I'm talking impact. I'm talking impact. That's where I'm coming from. And so then I have to look at, okay, he's at 3 rings. I believe he's getting his 4th this year. Okay? If he gets his 4th this year, I believe that this is the last shot. Because I'm assuming LeBron will stay in LA and he ain't leaving and he's not going to go back to Cleveland or someplace else. He's going to retire. I'm saying that if LeBron James is finished winning championships, and this brother over the next 3 years wins a couple of more chips at the very least, which I think is very, very, very possible. Okay. You're talking about him having more rings than LeBron James. You're talking about him being recognized already as the greatest shooter who has ever lived, a transformative figure in the game of basketball. And what I was saying on Stephen A's World last week, Keyshawn, was let's ask that question on so many occasions. We talk about LeBron or Jordan. What about Jordan Curry? What about LeBron Curry? Because of the impact that Steph Curry has had on the game of basketball. That's what I was saying.
But Molly said, and you also said the face generation, right?
That's right.
The changing.
Yes.
I don't think he'll ever get there.
Okay.
And the reason I don't think he'll ever get there is because LeBron is so far in front of him. Not only from a championship appearance standpoint, but also a championship winning standpoint. Not only that, MVP.
What do you mean championship winning standpoint?
No, I'm saying I believe he's going to get another.
Okay.
That's my belief.
I don't. All right.
Okay, but that's just my belief.
Okay.
And I'm not a LeBron apologist at all.
I understand.
I just think when you start talking about, you said the greatest shooter of all time.
That is correct.
What is the conversation for LeBron James? Is the greatest player of all time. So that's a big difference. Because your argument would be, and you're going to have that coming up later on in your top 3 shooters.
Right. Top 5.
Is it top 5? Okay. Top 5 shooters. You ain't going to have your top 5 greatest players because it's always going to come down to most people in this generation, 2 people. LeBron James, Michael Jordan.
And Kareem.
I said this generation.
Gotcha.
Because they don't even know Kareem exists in this generation for the most part.
Okay.
You start with Kareem, clearly we do.
Right.
When you look at that, you say to yourself, how can Steph Curry be on the same generational level as LeBron James? I don't see where that is, and I respect Steph Curry. Like, I will go watch him wherever he can be shooting it down street at the park, and they can be charging $1,000. I'm going to go do it. But it's not the same level. And I understand that because when you look at LeBron, you say, well, he changed the game from three-point shooting standpoint. Well, LeBron James changed the game from a body style to the 6'8", guard that basically could be a forward, could be a 5, could be a 4, can shoot, can't stop him in the paint. Ridiculous. So he changed it from that standpoint because we never seen that prior to LeBron.
You're talking about the greatness of LeBron James as a player and as a talent. When I'm talking about Steph Curry, not only am I talking about the greatest shooter who has ever lived, I'm talking about somebody that has transformed a culture. You've got kids going to the park, launching 3-pointers, trying to do that.
Yeah, my son is at the hip right now.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's what it is. You see what I'm saying?
No, I do.
And
that's why I wanted context to it.
But that's where the context, and then listen, there were people in LeBron James camp that reached out, like, what the hell did you say? So I understand where everybody's coming from when you hear what I'm saying. But I'm like, just step back and think about it from an impact perspective. Because when we think about Jordan, we thought about Magic and Bird. And then how Jordan elevated individuality because he was so far and above, superior to all of his peers.
You don't think
talent-wise. And I'm not saying LeBron wasn't. Don't get me wrong.
No, but I'm gonna say you don't think that LeBron made the big three, so to speak, people started to come to be the big three, that was
Well,
somewhat of an individualized situation?
He gets blamed for that, but remember.
Well, that's blaming by people that just want to blame.
But let me say this. He gets blamed for that, but hear me out. With LeBron James, even though because of how he handled it, it invited that level of scrutiny. Okay, it didn't bother me, though, because it was in South Beach.
No, it didn't bother me either.
Didn't bother me at all. But before him, remember, there was KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen.
But it wasn't orchestrated, though. It wasn't orchestrated by them.
Well, we can say, I understand that. That's true. It wasn't orchestrated by the players. But we can't, I get exactly, you're absolutely right, because the players orchestrated
because
that.
We can
We're
go,
in Boston with KG. They traded for KG.
We can go all the way. We can go all the way to back to Barkley if that's the case. But it wasn't orchestrated by the players.
That's true. And
it was orchestrated by LeBron.
That's where LeBron. Well, it was. Yeah, you could say that. But it was.
All right.
Who gonna get the credit?
It was
really
it was D-Wade. I can tell you that right now. It was D-Wade.
But who gonna get the credit?
Got you.
All right, we'll revisit that in a hot second. Let's get to Keyshawn's former team. Are the Cowboys getting hot at just the right time? The Dallas Cowboys held off a huge comeback by Washington in a 27-20 victory in our nation's capital. Much of that thanks to Micah Parsons. For the first time since the opener, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, Parsons on the field together. On the other side, Dak has not been the same since returning after that calf. He went 22.
Another week in the house. Your boy is in the house with the latest A-list. My top 5 teams in the National Football League after week 13. Let's get to it. Give me number 5 right here on the list, please. Give it to me right now. What the hell is the delay? I want it. It's the Patriots, okay? The New England Patriots, leaders in the AFC East, rookie quarterback, elite defense, big-time running game as well, the best coaching in the sport of football. That's why they on the top 5 list, a number 1 seed in the AFC as we're speaking right now. We gonna roll with that. Let's go to number 4 on the list, Keyshawn. Look at this right here. The Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, I put them up there. Why? Because they handled their business, albeit it was against the Washington football team. They secured a position in the NFC Least. They're one of the top 4 teams in the National Football League right now. We got to give credit where credit is due, even though Dak Prescott is going to get better and needs to get better. They ain't top 3, though. Let's go to top 3. Number 3 on the list, please. Give it to me. The Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Because the offense is beginning to percolate a little bit more, albeit against a Las Vegas Raiders team that is absolutely done. You still got Patrick Mahomes. You still got Tyreek Hill. You still got Travis Kelce, along with a bevy of other supplementary weapons that show up, and the defense has elevated its level of play. We got to give credit where credit is due. Limited their last 3 opponents to just 9 points. Let's go to number 2 on the list, please. Give it to me right now. It's the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because Tom Brady looks like that dude. That's why. Because Gronk is back in the house looking like that dude. That's why. Because Mike Evans is trying to tell us, Keyshawn, he's going to be a Hall of Fame wide receiver one day. Chris Godwin is handling his business. Leonard Fournette is running the football effectively. And that defense, that defense showed up. I'm going to give love where it's due. I just can't give them the number 1 spot because I got to give it to this man right here, the Green Bay Packers, because he's a bad man. Whoa! This Aaron Rodgers we talking about. You see Devontae Adams in the show that he's putting on. Okay, Valdez-Scantling, Lazard, and the rest of the crew. They're there. I didn't like what I was seeing from their defense for a few moments, but then they amped it up on Chicago. Special teams got to improve a little bit too. But Aaron Rodgers is so spectacular, so sensational, so electrifying that if there's any team right now that is rolling, it is the Green Bay Packers. That's my top 5 list. The Packers, the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Patriots. I took Arizona out of that list. Why? Because you can't go against the Rams and lose, and they don't even have Jalen Ramsey or Higbee. I had to take you out of that, and that's where I'm at with it. What's up? What's up?
I'm going to slowly but surely.
Don't lock the board. Don't lock the board.
I'm just going to slowly but surely say, Arizona Cardinals ain't up there when you were just talking about that they was a top team in the NFC?
They will be. They will be in the list is fluid. The list is fluid.
You see what he do?
This
you
is
see
terrible.
how he switch up on this
the
man?
list is fluid.
He makes no sense. Jeff, makes no sense.
Here we go again. Y'all hating. The list is fluid.
I don't mind the list. I think the list, look, as far as these top 5 teams go, Jeff, these are probably the top 5 teams right now in the NFL. Right now, right? Right now.
Right now.
Right now, I think they probably are.
That don't mean it's going to be that way in 2 weeks, Jeff, Keyshawn.
Nope.
But right now.
But these 3 teams that I talked about, the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys are in your top 5.
So?
And you tried to murder me about the Arizona
I'm talking
Cardinals.
about come playoff time. But right now, Keyshawn, right now. Look, right now, you rocking this. In 3 weeks, you're going to be rocking a suit. Hell, you might buy a 3-piece. Come playoff time, that's right now. They ain't got nothing to do with 3 weeks from now.
No.
Jeff?
No. Listen, first of all, if the Chiefs and the Cowboys being above the Patriots is not – if the Patriots played tomorrow, you would have them favored over both of those teams. The Cowboys should not be on the list. Arizona should stay up at the list. The Cowboys do not need to be on the list. They're not playing well enough to be on the list. I know that Arizona got beat yesterday, but you are biased. You are completely biased in this one. The Cowboys do not need to be on that thing. And when you're talking about the Patriots not being above the Chiefs, and by the way, I'd flip the Buccaneers and the Packers, but I'll let it slide because they both got 2 Hall of Famers who are leading them. But the other ones, no, sir. Absolutely not. Cowboys can't be up there. After that performance against Washington football team offensively, it gives me great concern. They got to figure this thing out.
Hold on. We got a guy in Micah Parsons that's making noise about potentially being the defensive player of the year. We see Diggs still doing his thing. Randy Gregory is back in the lineup wreaking havoc, okay? Lawrence is back as well. What I'm saying to you is this. The Dallas Cowboys definitely had a blah-blah week when it came to the offensive side of the ball, but they did elevate their level of defensive play, and they still got the division league, and they're coming off a win, and Arizona lost to a team without a huge pivotal piece in their secondary. And
I agree with Jeff, though.
Really?
I honestly think that the Patriots should slide in front of the Cowboys some. I don't mind the Chiefs being at 3 because I think the Chiefs playing.
Hold on.
What?
You and Jeff got on me a couple of weeks ago.
About what?
A couple of weeks ago when I sat up there and had the Patriots ahead of the Cowboys. Y'all said the Cowboys beat them. That's what y'all said.
It's fluid.
Oh, really?
It's fluid.
Now.
That's what you said.
Y'all held it against me, though.
Hey, let me tell you. Let me say this.
5 teams.
Let me tell you what it is. Stephen A. loves to put the Cowboys up on that list because it's sabotage. It ain't fluid. It's sabotage.
You can knock them down when you need to.
He loves to inflate them and then chop them down. That's Stephen A.'s game, bro. I'm keen to it. I see what he's doing. They shouldn't be up there.
So you got a nice little A- based on that.
Never that.
Okay.
You're
the
all right.
only thing I have to say is if the Hall of Famer, the playmaker Michael Irvin is watching, he is so upset last night because we opened the show and you argued that this team, the Dallas Cowboys, should not feel good after the win because it was against pathetic Washington.
Right.
And now today.
So what? The point is,
sabotage.
I had them higher last week. That's number one. Number 2, the hell with what Michael Irvin has to say, okay?
But it's all good.
Well, you spent like 30 minutes arguing
with a Jerry Jones blue outfit on, too.
I disagree with that.
So you becoming a Cowboy secretly. You're a secret Cowboy. No, it's not.
That is ridiculous.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You say such a thing. That is not true at all. And by the way, Keyshawn gave me the A-. That's number 1.
Yeah, you got
number
the
2,
A-.
Jeff Saturday, you fronted, Jeff, because 2 weeks ago you got on me because you said, yo, just like Keyshawn, the Patriots lost to the Cowboys. You can't put the Patriots above them. That's what you said, Jeff Saturday. That's what you said.
No, that is erroneous. Don't put words in mine. I'm going to tell you right now, if those two played each other, I'm putting the Patriots above them. I understand what happened earlier in the season. It's fluid. I'm bringing you some fluidity to this whole thing. Helping you out, Stephen A. Helping you out.
So, Stephen A., to be clear, you got the order wrong. And
the teams are okay. The order's wrong.
You got the order wrong, and the Arizona Cardinals should be on there.
Yeah.
No, that was the consensus from the group. That's the consensus from the group.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know how he went at me about Arizona. And
because it's fluid, man. In the 3 weeks,
you know what? There's so many inconsistencies from block to block, show to show.
The list is fluid.
How do you keep all these lies straight?
It's not lies. It's not lies at all. It's fluid.
We'll leave it there.
Fluidity. You have to move. You have to move. You can't be a stationary target.
We got it. Still to come on First Take, Matthew
at me like this.
Stafford getting the burying the Cards. Has Arizona been exposed? According to Stephen A., didn't even make the list. They got 10 wins. Stephen A., Keyshawn, and Mina Kimes, their thoughts. Plus, Stephen A. caused quite the stir when he said Steph Curry could wind up as more iconic than LeBron, paging J.J. Redick. JJ's got a lot to say to you. So let's get it, Key. We'll start with you. Todd McShay just released his new NFL mock draft. There's 5 quarterbacks slated to go in the first round, though none are projected to go within the top 10 picks, as Pitt's Kenny Pickett, who finished 3rd in the Heisman voting, is slated to go 12th to the Steelers. At least 5 quarterbacks have been drafted in the first round 4 times previously, including 2 of the last 4 drafts. Keyshawn, how many franchise quarterbacks do you see in this draft?
To be honest with you, I don't see any. But it's the National Football League, so they're going to push guys up in this situation. Kenny Pickett might be a guy that a lot of people feel could potentially be that guy, possibly in Pittsburgh, as you say, on Todd McShay's board. And then Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. He's a guy that I've been knowing since high school. I've watched him play. But when you talk about franchise quarterbacks, I go to guys that are going to be with a franchise 10 or more years.
Yeah.
And I don't see these guys as that.
Neither do I.
Stephen A., who's the defensive player of the year to you? Would you go Aaron Donald or Micah Parsons, since you're a low-key Cowboys fan?
I think Micah Parsons. Right now, I would tell you that I think Micah Parsons is the defensive player of the year, considering the multiple positions that he has played, how they utilized him, how they turned him into an edge rusher once they had injuries on their defensive line, and how that really, really developed into something special, really us all seeing him even in a different, more a bigger light than when he was drafted, obviously. And you consider that and the profound effect that it has had on Dallas' defense. There have been lulls this season with the Rams' defense, where as great as we knew Aaron Donald, we were like, hey, they just don't have it right now.
Yeah.
We ain't say that about the Cowboys' defense with Micah Parsons up in there.
And you look at the statistics in Michael Parsons, you talk about 12 sacks and the forced fumbles and all that, but there's a lot of hidden things that he does that no one talks about. Quarterback pressures, being able to be in the face of the quarterback, hurrying the quarterback to throw the football, making the quarterback get off his mark. Not only that, drawing the double teams and possibly at times the chips. So that's basically, if I line up on the left, I got the tackle, maybe the tight end, a back coming out chipping me, a little receiver trying to be slick chipping me. You got all those different things that you have to do to get your offense going away from him. And when you're running away from him, you set the edge away from him. You say, you know what? I don't want to run to that side because he's over there. We're going the opposite way. That's stuff that guys don't get credit for. We know as NFL players and coaches, but the outside noise, they never know.
Okay, let's talk about credit. You know I'm a diehard Giants fan. Bill Belichick, who coached Tom Brady, has said that LT is the greatest player he's ever coached, right, Keyshawn?
Oh,
so I've been hearing LT's name a lot recently in regards to Micah Parsons. Is Micah the best player you've seen since LT?
You know, it's hard to say that. He's certainly in there because you got guys like Von Miller. You got DeMarcus Ware, prime time on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he changed the whole game at the cornerback position. So it's hard to say that, but he's certainly on his way. One of the things that made LT so great, and Deion and those sort of guys, is that in Von Miller, again, I'll say it, they can win the Super Bowl by themselves like a quarterback. Not just the Super Bowl game, but get you through the playoffs where they're causing so many problems for the opposing team that they got to change their entire approach.
One player.
One player, and he's that one guy. Stephen A. spoke to it. Look what he's done for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
Them drafting him was a major upgrade. Your Giants kind of screwed that up. They could have had him.
Screwed up a lot of things.
You know.
Yes, they
we
did.
could spend a whole show on that.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I will say this. Here's the interesting part, and I'm going to take this. I'm going to just spread this conversation out just a little bit because there's no debating the greatness of Micah Parsons. I got to see more of him because I don't want to hear.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hear anything about comparisons when you're in your rookie year because sustainability matters. As great as everybody is, it's just like when we were talking, and I'm not knocking Patrick Mahomes because we all know how phenomenal he is and he's a Super Bowl champion and what have you. But when we were talking about how great he was and what have you, a lot of people just allowed the greatness of Aaron Rodgers to dissipate from the mind's eye because we saw this dude, Patrick Mahomes, coming along. And we forgot that Aaron Rodgers had been doing this for a long, sustained period of time. That does come along with the qualifications of being seen as that great. Here's the thing that's interesting that I want to say. on many occasions watching football in recent memory, so many people, Keyshawn, have brought up the fact that it was a different era. It was rougher in your day. It was rougher before that because the rules and regulations that have been instituted and implemented by the National Football League didn't exist back then. So you got guys, and of course nobody in football is soft, but the bottom line is it was considered soft compared to previous generations.
Understood.
All right? And you got guys like the great Ray Lewis and others that consistently lamented the fact that you don't allow us to play defense because of all the rules that you do
Understood.
in favor of the offensive players, particularly and specifically the quarterback. Well, here's where it works in reverse to elevate Micah Parsons. So much defenses are not allowed to get away with.
Yes.
And still look at the impact he's had.
Yeah.
So just imagine what he would do if the rules didn't favor offensive players in the National Football League so flagrantly. The fact that the NFL is called tighter, that it's considered softer and highly protective of offensive players now more so than ever before, and we still have a guy like Micah Parsons performing like this, that makes you say, damn, this brother really, really is special.
No, he is. And great players that dominate can play in any era.
Right.
I mean, it's just the reality of it. If LT was playing this era, it'd be crazy. If Aaron Donald was playing back then, he'd do the same thing. It never changes at all. But the rules certainly favor the offensive player. That's why I wish I was playing right now.
Wow.
Because they couldn't touch me. I'd just be running free all day long.
Wow.
How crazy it is. But
Is that bad?
we was born too early.
Is that bad?
We was born too early.
All right. Things have certainly changed in basketball. That's where we're going next. If you like the Stephen A. versus J.J. Redick feud, we got quite the treat for you ahead. Oh, yeah, it's a beef.
How's it a feud, a beef?
I'm just playing it. Happy Tuesday. Plenty of first takes still to get to. Who will go down as the more iconic figure of their generation? Is it LeBron James or Steph Curry? J.J. Redick and Stephen A. debate that shortly. Don't miss it. Plus, will Urban Meyer be back next season? Mina Kimes' shocking answer in just a moment. Plus, Keyshawn, your Raiders stumbling to the finish line. Stephen A. on what the Chiefs proved on Sunday against Vegas. All that in just a bit.
If you're waiting on that contract. And
the Rams defeat. I think the Rams proved why some of us, maybe those of us here who don't use a middle initial in our name, were right to be skeptical of this Arizona team for weeks. You know, throughout the course of this season, when I've said the Packers and the Bucs are in a tier above them, I think, Keyshawn, you've been with me on this one. Cardinals fans have said, look at our record, look at our quarterback. Why aren't you talking about him as MVP? Cliff Kingsbury, Coach of the Year. The disrespect. You lost to the Rams, and the Rams had one hand tied behind their back. And while Los Angeles, I think, still has more to prove in terms of consistency, they showed that when that offense is clicking, particularly the play-action passing game, the Cardinals don't have an answer. I thought Kyler Murray made some great plays, but down the stretch, both he and Cliff Kingsbury made some crucial mistakes that reminded us we were right all along to be skeptical.
Yeah, well, you haven't been there, Mina, as I tell people, it's hard to understand the National Football League. Cliff Kingsbury or Kyler Murray has been in a situation like that. That was somewhat of a playoff atmosphere. Must win for the Rams and a must win for Arizona if they wanted to stay pace to get that first round bye. A lot of people, including the guy sitting to my right, just felt like, oh, the Arizona Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, the baddest receiver in the league. It slowed down yesterday because they put a good game plan together, both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. In fact, they found OBJ. They realized, oh, we got another weapon outside of Cooper Kupp. Y'all think we're only going to go to Cooper Kupp? Here we go. Oh, we can go over the top to Van Jefferson as well. And so when you look at that, that didn't occur the first matchup against them earlier in the year. They allowed Kyler Murray to get out on the perimeter. They allowed Kyler Murray to scramble around and throw the football. This time, they kept his butt in the pocket. Although he made a couple good throws, but he made some ill-advised throws due to the pressure of Aaron Donald and Von Miller and Floyd in that game. Stephen A., your turn.
It's interesting that you bring that up. It's amazing how you bring up the Van Jefferson reception and act like you know what they were looking for him all day. They targeted him 3 times. They targeted Cooper Kupp 15 times. But that's neither here nor there. I love how excuse me, I'm not finished. I'll let you talk. Let me get this in. Well, see, you know, somebody with the initials MK, you know what, I don't bring up the fact that, you know what, she's sitting up there getting hoisted in the air by swag goons of the world. She's sitting up there talking about Seattle going to win. I'm not going to bring up the bevy of names that came on this show when I was talking about the Cleveland Browns and how they never go into the playoffs. People were saying they go into the playoffs. When the Patriots were 2-4, everybody was counting that out. Everybody was talking about the Kansas City Chiefs like trash as well. I remember all of these things that were going on from all of these aficionados that come over to this show. But because the Arizona Cardinals lost one game last night, just one game on a Monday Night Football game, a team that they scoped out weeks earlier, but the team got payback last night. Because of that one game, suddenly we gonna forget Kyler Murray the ball, and A.J. Green has been resurrected, and DeAndre Hopkins, who dropped the pass in the red zone for crying out loud. We don't see that often. So I'm just saying, it's all right for y'all to act like that right now. We tried to tell Stephen A. We tried to tell him, dude, the only dude on the show with the initials.
Yeah, I like that line.
We tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen. I got a whole bunch of evidence, a mountain of evidence that y'all didn't listen to throughout this season. So y'all keep starting that crap with me, all right? It's fluid. It's fluid. That's what it is. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's fluid. That's what it means. It's fluid, Mina.
You have been consistently high on the Arizona Cardinals. I watch this show every week. You have been saying week after week after week,
when have I had a reason not to be before last night? When have I had a reason not to be since last night?
I think the question is, were they exposed last night? And I want to be clear. I still think the Arizona Cardinals are a good football team. I still think Kyler Murray is excellent. I still think what Vance Joseph has done with his defense is impressive. But we're not talking about good. We're not talking about good. We're talking about the difference between good teams and Super Bowl teams. We're talking about why the Rams and
the Rams a Super Bowl team?
I think the Rams and the Cardinals are in the same tier below the Packers and the Bucs, and I think that's what we learned last night.
Don't miss that coming up.
And I'm with you, Mina. I'm with you
And
100%.
you're saying they are.
I think they're Super Bowl contenders.
Arizona.
I think Arizona's a Super Bowl contender.
Wait, didn't we just lose Stevens?
So what? That's just for this week.
Hold on. Can I get my camera? Because I don't usually get a camera. I'm just wondering, did we just do a Stevens
Yes,
A list
and it went in.
in the
And I knocked
last
them out the top
block,
5.
and you
And I knocked them
didn't
out the top
have
5?
Arizona? I
Yes.
can't keep up with you.
Why?
There's just all
well,
these
you know what,
takes.
Molly, listen, you don't need the Peloton or the treadmill. I'm certainly not trying to imply that.
Yeah.
But if you went on it, you'd be able to keep up with me because that's what I'm doing right now. It's fluid, y'all.
Okay.
And I'm
Does
talking
your
to you too,
treadmill
Mina,
go
and you
backwards?
too,
Because that's
Keyshawn.
what I'm
I know.
hearing. I'm
Well,
hearing a lot of backtracking.
Backtracking, a lot of backtracking.
It's not backtracking, y'all.
Yeah.
The point is, the list is fluid.
Yeah, I just
and
feel dizzy 'cause it's block to
At the end
block.
of the day, what I'm saying
let me
is
ask you this, though,
the
Stephen A.
Arizona Cardinals, when the playoffs arrive, they will be that team. It's just that you lost last night without Higbee and Jalen Ramsey,
Let me ask
and I
you
held
this,
it
though,
against
Stephen
you
A.
for the A-list.
And Mina, chime in here real quick for me. So you believe in a coach that has never been to a playoff, nor a quarterback that they can go to the Super Bowl? You believe that?
Here is why I would be deeply worried if I was a Cardinals fan after last night. Not because you lost to the Rams, who were missing, some of their best players, but because you lost the 1 seed. And I don't know if you guys were watching Green Bay and what they did on offense this weekend, that 9-minute drive where you're churning out completions and runs. Arizona does not want any of that smoke. Arizona does not want to go to Lambeau in January, and that's what was so problematic for the Cardinals after this game.
Wait a minute, though. The Cardinals lost in Arizona, okay? But they were 7-0. They're 7-0 on the road this season. And I'm not saying they want to go into Lambeau
And
Field.
it was
I'm
not
not saying they want to go into Lambeau
Lambeau.
Field. But my point
Yeah,
is,
we talking
what about
Lambeau
everywhere
in
else?
January.
What about everywhere else?
We're talking about a bye
in
that's been lost.
cold.
Florida, what's wrong with going to those places?
You going up against Tom damn Brady, man.
understand.
Come
I
on
understand.
now. And I just said to you, a first-time head coach and a first-time quarterback in the playoffs.
I did not pick the Arizona Cardinals
Yeah,
to come
you
out
did.
of the NFC.
Yeah, you
What
did.
I said is that we were answering the question about whether or not they're a Super Bowl contender.
You know what?
You can't rule them out. They can beat anybody.
You know what? You're just digging the gray. I just want to.
The Carolina Panthers can beat anybody.
I want to
You're
look
not
out
saying
for
that.
you.
They can't.
It's
You're not
just
saying
it's
that.
snowballing. Just stop.
They
Sometimes
can't.
you got to
They
know
can't.
just when
I'm
to
not
be
snowballing.
quiet. Take it
I'm
from
not
me.
snowballing. I'm not snowballing.
Take that L, man.
I'm not taking the L.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not taking, y'all are not hearing.
Hey, I got to get to commercial.
Go ahead, do
Okay,
that.
thanks.
Do that.
All right.
Do that.
When we come
Do
back
that.
here on First Take, still ahead. Not the best week for the Jags head coach, Urban Meyer. Why someone here thinks it should be his final week on their sideline. Plus, Jay.
Or how he plays. We don't talk about him enough. He's got the #1 player efficiency rating of all time this year. When he's on the court, the Nuggets have the #2 offense, the #2 defense, and a better net rating than the Warriors. He's amazing.
No question. Stephen A. Chris Middleton hyperextended his left knee and left the game yesterday. How significant of a loss would he be for the Bucks?
He would be a very significant loss. This is a brother that averaged 24, 6, and 5 in the NBA Finals. He was spectacular at times. Easily could have been MVP if it wasn't for that 50-point explosion by Giannis in Game 6. Mid-range game, very, very skilled. Hopefully he'll be back and he's healthy because they'll need him.
JJ, the Cavs beat the Heat 105-94 last night. Are they the biggest surprise in the NBA to you?
I think they are. This is one of the best stories in the NBA. Give JB Bickerstaff a lot of credit. They've built a top 5 defense. They're currently 2nd in defense overall. Jarrett Allen should be an all-star this year and represent the home city. Darius Garland in year 3 has taken a leap in efficiency. And Evan Mobley looks like a future defensive player of the year. This is a great story.
All right, let's keep it rolling, fellas. King James has been named Western Conference Player of the Week after leading the Lakers to a 3-in-1 week. LeBron averaging over 28 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, including 2 triple-doubles. The Lakers, 15-13, are now the 6th seed in the West. Meanwhile, Steph Curry had 5 3-pointers in Monday's win over the Pacers and now needs 2 more to pass Ray Allen's all-time 3-point record. Curry will likely make history tonight in the Mecca when the Warriors play the Knicks, at MSG. Stephen A. has a strong take on Chef Curry with the shot.
Has Steph Curry overtaken LeBron James as the basketball icon of this generation? As great as LeBron James is, and the man is a legend, don't get it wrong, he's on basketball's Mount Rushmore for crying out loud. But if Steph Curry and the Warriors win the title this season, Steph will have as many rings as LeBron James. If he's changed the way basketball is played at every level with the rise of the long-range 3-point shooting, then maybe it's not LeBron's legacy we should be comparing to the GOAT. Maybe we should instead be discussing Steph Curry versus Michael Jordan.
So you think, Stephen A. JJ Redick joining the program. JJ, good to see you. Let's get right into it. We'll save the pleasantries for another time. JJ, can Steph Curry pass LeBron James as the face of the generation?
He can't. And Stephen A., I just wanted to pass along a message. Jeff Saturday and I were watching the earlier clip back in the green room. He wanted me to tell you this is the dumbest take you've ever had. I just want you to know that.
You're blaming Jeff. You're blaming Jeff.
Look,
okay,
this is certainly not a knock on Steph Curry. I do think there's a difference between being the face of the 3-point revolution and being the face of an entire generation. And if we look at sort of different eras in the NBA, Magic, Larry, Michael, Kobe, Shaq, LeBron, and I hate to say it, but it's still LeBron, just got named Player of the Week in the Western Conference. They're 10-6 when he's played this year, and statistically, he's playing at an MVP level. Like, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So for Steph to overtake him at age 33, LeBron is about 2 weeks away from age 37. I just don't see it happening. The resume speaks for itself. And I understand what Stephen A. is talking about in terms of 3-point shooting, but there's a lot of other factors that have contributed to this 3-point era, including analytics. I would also mention James Harden and Daryl Morey's Houston Rockets is having a big influence on today's generation of young players.
Here's where J.J. Redick, the phenomenal person and player that he was, shows his rookie status when it comes to television. See, you have to listen to what a brother is trying to say before you lean on Jeff Saturday to engage in condemnation. And I'll deal with Jeff Saturday, my other brother, a little bit later. Here's what I'm talking about. Nobody said that Steph Curry's better than LeBron James. And we all understand what an iconic figure LeBron James is. What I'm saying is, look at how Steph has contributed to transforming the game of basketball. Again, the shooting that we bring up. We have to pay attention to the defenses and how defenses are compromised and how things change because of that. when you talk about the face of a generation, of course it's LeBron James. I'm certainly not trying to imply that Steph has surpassed. What I am saying is, I'm looking at a Steph Curry and a Golden State Warriors team I believe is going to win it all this year. I'm looking at the return of a Klay Thompson, a James Wiseman with the rest of the crew and the players that I see them developing. JJ Redick, I'm of the mindset that Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors will win 2 titles in the next 3 years. That's what I believe. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the Lakers. Obviously, as presently constructed, it's fluid because obviously if they change, they make trades and stuff like that, and they get LeBron the right pieces around him that he needs, assuming LeBron elects to stay in L.A., because you got people like my brother Mike Wilbon that says he could end up leaving and going back to Cleveland for crying out loud the way that they're looking right now. If he stays in L.A. and things don't change, well, guess what? LeBron and his legacy is synonymous with being a continuous presence in the NBA Finals. Well, that ain't going to happen in my estimation now. When you look at him, he'll be home watching Steph Curry. Steph Curry already got 3 rings against LeBron James, I might add, would probably get a 4th if you believe me. He could potentially have 5, which would surpass LeBron. You got little kids out there trying to shoot from the hip right now. I'm looking at the greatest shooter we have ever seen. And you take all of those things into consideration. Yeah, you can bring up analytics and all of those different things, and I respect that. I'm not dismissing that. I'm just talking about when you say the face, you're going to have people more and more percolating thinking about Steph Curry than LeBron James if the present trend continues. That's all I was trying to say.
There's a lot of coulds in life, and a lot of things could happen in the NBA. Okay. But as of right now, let's just talk about, I want to bring up one thing real quick. So LeBron has 4 finals MVPs. Steph has 0. Now, you could argue the first one with the first championship with Andre Iguodala. Steph maybe deserved that over Dre. The other 2 championships that Steph has that you just brought up, he wasn't even the best player on his own team. Kevin Durant was.
Because of the best player in the world, which some people would say is Kevin Durant.
But you're talking. I actually looked this up this morning because you're talking about. Look, I'm not negating Steph Curry's impact on the 3-point era or how youth basketball is played now. I'm not saying that at all. But when you talk about being the face of a generation, you're talking about a resume, and you're also talking about interest in a human being. LeBron James on Instagram has 104 million followers. Steph Curry has 38 million. Now, 38 million, that's a lot of followers. LeBron has 17 All-NBAs. Steph has 7. LeBron has 4 MVPs. Steph has 2. Like, we're any statistical measure doesn't have to be advanced. LeBron James is ahead of Steph, and for you to say, if the Warriors win 2 more championships, yeah, let's have a conversation in 2 years about that.
But that's what it was about.
You're just trying to elicit a response.
But that's what the take was about. The take was about the fact that when we're talking about the face of a generation, when we're talking about what a guy brings to the table.
No, you're saying right now. The original take on your show was talking about right now. I'll quote you. Has Steph Curry surpassed LeBron James as the face of this generation?
And I said it's worth the conversation. I didn't say he did. I said it's time to start asking that question because what we're witnessing and what we're assuming is going to transpire. I'm looking at Steph Curry balling the way that he's balling right now, people wanting to emulate him. And by the way, he's a 3-time champion. It ain't like LeBron's got 4 and he's got none. And by the way, 3 title victories did come against LeBron. And even though KD was there and what have you, everybody act like Steph Curry is off the wagon, like he wasn't some brother averaging 26 or 27 in the NBA Finals. Actually, he was doing those things. He didn't wet the bed and not show up. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I'm imagining the level of time that he has available to him, I said, damn, this guy keeps doing what he's doing. We might need to ask this question. That's all I'm saying, because nobody can say that he's better than LeBron James. We know better than that. We know LeBron's resume, and we know that LeBron is better. I would never say that. But the face of this basketball generation, because it's not over yet. And sometimes you stay around too long, and I'm certainly not accusing LeBron of doing that. But certainly, there are times where you can stay around too long and somebody is elevating before your very eyes. And sort of suddenly people start thinking about them and they start thinking less about you. In LeBron's case, it's because of the team he's playing on more so than his individual dissipation, in my opinion. But you never know how people look at these things from time to time. And that's all I'm saying.
But, okay. But we're still giving LeBron all the attention. We're still giving LeBron and the Lakers all the attention.
I don't think he's getting all of the attention anymore, Jay.
And we talk
about
the Lakers every time I come on the show.
And we talk about Steph Curry. We've been talking about, we used to always talk about LeBron and that's it. We talk about Steph Curry all the time. We really do.
You know, I've been married a little over 11 years, and one of the rules we have in our marriage is we shouldn't argue about hypotheticals. And we're arguing about a hypothetical right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not married to you, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to apply by those rules. I understand why you have those rules. It's very, very wise because you lose to your wife every time. I understand that. But I'm not married.
Okay. Wish I knew those great rules. All right, everybody. We will leave it there. Steph and LeBron, 3 years apart in age, guys. When we come back here on First Take, we asked it yesterday, and we will ask it again. Has the Jags head coach gone from urban legend to urban myth in just one season? Mina Kimes on that shortly. Plus, Steph Curry is this close to holding the NBA record for most three-pointers made. It's got Stephen A. wondering about his top 5 shooters of all time. We got a list coming up for you. Come on back.
I'm Stephen Curry, and you're watching First Take on ESPN.
Their number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, only has 1 touchdown pass in his last 6 games. He has 9 touchdowns on the season and 14 interceptions. And the coach became a distraction with his incident at a Columbus, Ohio bar, and now there's issues with the coaching staff. So Urban Meyer denied that he and wide receiver Marvin Jones had an argument. He also denied an NFL Network report that said he called his assistant coaches losers and questioned their resumes during a staff meeting. Meyer says information leakers risk losing their jobs after his team lost at Tennessee. Take a listen.
What's the answer? Start leaking information or some nonsense? No, that's nonsense. That's garbage. That's that's, once again, I've been very blessed. I've not really dealt with that. I've not dealt with, well, did you hear what he said? What? No. Let's improve on offense and get our quarterback in a position to be successful. That's our focus. What someone's brother said or someone said, that will occupy very little of my time. And if there is a source, that source is unemployed. I mean, within seconds, if there's some source that's doing it.
Jaguars owner Shad Khan told reporters that he won't make a hasty decision on Coach Urban Meyer. Quote, I want to do the right thing for the team. I want to do the right thing for the city. That, to me, is way more important than just acting helter-skelter on emotion. I think we have a history of really looking at the facts and then really doing the right thing. I want to welcome back in Mina Kimes. And Mina, I want to start with you on this one. Should the Jags allow Urban Meyer to finish the season?
No. Why? I have yet to hear a compelling reason for why Urban Meyer should continue to be the coach of this football team. Is there a football one? Obviously, the record speaks for itself. Trevor Lawrence's lack of development speaks for itself. The sloppiness on offense speaks for itself. Urban Meyer speaks for himself when he constantly defers blame, when he's asked about players and seems unaware of whether or not they've even taken reps in games. You could argue, I guess, in favor of organizational stability midseason, but with all due respect, this is the least stable organization in the NFL right now, maybe next to Las Vegas with what they've gone through, largely because Urban Meyer has been a distraction. He was a distraction before the season. He's been a distraction during the season. He's a distraction now with these latest reports about him being disrespectful to his employees. I am not sure what keeping him would accomplish other than rewarding mediocrity and denying accountability to a guy who's avoided accountability, frankly, for most of his career. I think ownership should act now and show leadership and show your fans, your players and employees that you care about this season because it's already lost.
Well, that's why it's not a priority to show that you care about the season, because it's already lost. So I respectfully disagree with you in terms of him being gone now. No, if he's all those things that you say, Mina, let him sit there and suffer these last 4 games. Let him suffer the consequences of his ineptitude. That's really what this comes down to, and let him deal with it, because he's gonna get paid anyway. So you send him out the door, you're paying him for doing nothing. And I understand some people will look at him and say, well, he ain't doing much now, but he is suffering to some degree because this is a difficult situation to be in. Here's what I want to reiterate that I said yesterday. He definitely needs to be going. He cannot be back as the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars for next season. He has to be gone the second this season is over. And that was taken into account, the reports. But guess what, Mina? Guess what, Keyshawn? It's not because I think there's truth to it. Do I think that, Urban Meyer said this in front of 53 players or about a bunch of coaches right in front of them? I don't know whether it's true or not. I'm not going to question the veracity of the report. It's hard to imagine. But what I will say is this. Either it's true or a cadre of individuals have collaborated to come together and smeared this man. Either way you slice it, it is an indictment against him as a leader. They don't like him. They don't want to play for him. They wish he wasn't there. They want nothing to do with him. And they want him out the door, and they want him falling on his face while he's heading out the door. This is an untenable situation. Irreparable damage has been done. There's no way to make it better. But since the season is already a wash and it's done, you might as well keep him on the job, Key, until the season is over. It's only 4 more weeks to go.
I think he should be gone. I don't know when that is. I don't know if it's when you say he should be gone at the end of the year or today, like Mina says, but he certainly should be gone. And here's what I would say, and it'll probably take you guys by surprise. I don't have a problem with him talking about his assistant coaches, because I've been with Hall of Fame coaches, Super Bowl winning coaches that have basically attacked their assistant coaches for not doing their job properly. So I don't get caught up in that. That doesn't bother me as much as what he started doing, like Mina said, at the beginning of the season, the things that he's done in the middle of the season, and now where we're at. So if you put all of those things together, that is a problem. On top of that, one of the things that Shad Khan, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and his son have always done, they've owned the team for about 10 and a half, 11 years. They fired 4 coaches, countless front office and personnel people. So seeing them say that they're going to take their time, take a look at it, talk to people outside the organization and figure it out, that smells like doomsday to me about Urban Meyer. On top of that, if you keep Urban Meyer in the building, and you know this, Mina, and you do too, Stephen A, as well, because you cover the offseason and you cover free agency, it's going to be very difficult to lure somebody in free agency, no matter how much money you're giving them, to want to go to Jacksonville and play. If you go back several years ago, they fired Tom Coughlin for some of the same reasons in front office organization, doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. And therefore, players started to speak out and say, well, I'm not going to Jacksonville. I don't want to do that. Now, you think they're going to want to repeat that same mistake again? So it is going to be time for him to go. But is that in January when the season's over? Or is that on Monday after this Sunday's game?
Tom Coughlin, incredibly successful over the course of his NFL career, but Keyshawn, he did a very bad job in Jacksonville when it came to personnel, from extending Blake Bortles to the Fournette pick to all of the issues with players. If anything, I think Jacksonville, alienating Jalen Ramsey, it's a great point. If anything, I think they waited too long to move there. I frankly don't think the mistakes of the past should dictate their actions now and not pulling the trigger on the right move. And Stephen, just to talk about this incident, what's come out, these reports, with him showing disrespect. And Keyshawn, I do think it is disrespect to coaches who have won Super Bowls, calling them losers. I don't think that's acceptable. And I also think this, for that sort of report to come out and come out the way it did, that speaks to a level of discontent that's probably worse than we know about, because it is extremely unusual for coaches, staffers, to put their jobs on the line. You heard Urban Meyer talking about them being unemployed. And I think it shows just how much dysfunction there is in there. So what would it accomplish now? It's not going to save the season. You're right. But it sends a message to those employees, some of whom will still be around, to your players who have been dissatisfied, that you have your priorities in place and that you care about them more than your lame duck coach.
The reason I say that, Mina, yeah, it is disrespectful, but I've been around coaches that have won at a high level, and you'd be surprised some of the things that they say, not only to the players, but also in their staff meetings about one another.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, whatever. That's not even that big of a deal.
It's the sum total of all of it. You're right.
You know what, guys? Things are getting really heavy lately, so I'd like to just lift up the mood. Mina, before we go, could you take me through what happened here on NFL Live yesterday? Could we get that, please, producers? Do we have
Okay.
that?
So we saw Jakeem Grant, who is actually my size, celebrating with Tevin Jenkins, and Marcus and I decided to see, if we could recreate it, because beautiful things happen in football when big men and little men work together, and I think the same is true in television. I'll tell you what that man, he could have done that with one hand. He is incredibly strong. My form, not so athletic there, and
you were scared to lift up. You were scared to lift up your arms.
Well, she has a dress on. Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah,
You
that's
look
true,
great.
too.
You look great.
Yeah.
It was the classy move. She protected herself. No
Okay.
wardrobe malfunctions. But are you guys kidding me? No one thought Dirty Dancing? Am I the only person?
I've never seen Dirty Dancing.
You guys never saw Dirty with Patrick Swayze, Baby.
Not my movie.
It's the good girl, bad boy thing. She lifts him. I carried a watermelon. That's like the greatest movie of all time.
I saw it by accident. It was nice. But
It's okay, Steve.
You have you seen Dirty Dancing?
No.
Mina, have you seen Dirty Dancing?
I have seen Dirty Dancing. I have, yeah. I did feel like that. I felt like that.
Oh my goodness. That is a phenomenal movie, but you're talking
Trust
about
me, I was
hopeless
taken to
romantic.
see it. I didn't want to see it either.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Mina, good stuff. We'll talk to you soon. When we come back, what's better than one Stevens A's list? How about another one? The top 5 long bombers in NBA history, according to Stephen Naismith. That's coming up.